Welcome to Impact OC, the only program showcasing the people and organizations shaping Orange County. With your host, Don Camber.
Hello, live from the OC Talk Radio studios at UCI's Beal Applied Innovation Center. I'm OC Talk Radio Public Affairs Director Don Camber with another great guest positively impacting our community. Today, I welcome YMCA of Orange County President and Chief Executive Officer Jeff McBride. The organization is the hub of community, fostering genuine connections and belonging. It has served communities for over 150 years with high-quality programs including health and wellness, child and youth development, swimming, sports, and family activities. Thank you, Jeff, for being on Impact OC.
Well, thank you, Don. It's an absolute pleasure to be here. Looking forward to speaking with you a little bit.
Jeff, please explain the connections people have with the YMCA of Orange County, such as before and after school programs, fitness, and family activities.
Well, I've worked for the Y for almost 39 years, and it's hard to almost capture what we do. We work with youth and seniors and everybody in between. I have a couple of stories that I've just encountered. I just told you before the show started that I just started doing dry hot saunas, and I was in one, and there was 3 older gentlemen in there in their 70s, just a couple of weeks ago, and I heard them talking, and I started to start a conversation with them. They were in the Indian Guides program 40 years ago, and they had formed such strong bonds that it's never been broken, and for 40 years they've been best friends. And that one story encapsulates what we do. We are a social hub where people can come and gather, make connections and friendships that go far beyond our walls. And we don't know so many of the things that go on. We have programs where fathers, with our adventure guides, used to be Indian Guides when I was in it, fathers and daughters and sons can strengthen their relationships, have great adventures, and also build great relationships with the people that they're participating in the programs with. Our health and wellness programs, we have thousands, tens of thousands of seniors in our programs on a daily basis. They come both for the exercise, which is very important, but primarily it's the socialization that they encounter. They come an hour early for the class, before the class starts, just so they can encounter one another and say hi. People want to be seen. And as I'm getting older, I'm realizing more and more the importance of that, and especially after COVID, when people were shuttered, our seniors really, really struggled. And I've seen the impact that we've had as they've come back out and started to interact with one another, and it's something that they just do not want to give up. It's extremely important.
So whereabouts would we find a YMCA?
Well, right now, most of our programs are located in Orange County. We also serve Riverside County. But we have a health and wellness facility in Laguna, one in Huntington, one in Mission Viejo, and one in Newport Coast off of University Avenue.
So how does it operate?
Well, we're open depending on the operation, but 5 in the morning till about 10 at night. We have a variety of programs going on all through the day. A lot of our programs are off-site, though. We have almost 9,000 children a day in our before and after school programs. So those are scattered all over Orange County in about 100 different locations. So a lot of our programs are outside of our walls.
So explain what goes on in the before and after school programs.
Well, we work really closely with both the parents and the school districts. So we want to be a real asset and a partner to the school districts. So we work with the schools on the curriculum, making sure that we can continue the kids' education. It's not just a drop-off where the kids just play. We do have socialization, but we want to continue their studies. We have art classes, we have acting, we have a variety of curriculum that helps develop the children farther, as well as having a lot of fun.
So what about the staff?
Staff are amazing. I probably shouldn't tell this story, but during COVID, it was well, I will tell a couple stories. When COVID came, we had 5,000 kids a day at the time. When all the schools shut down, we had to make the decision: are we going to stay open or not? And we stayed open but we went from about 5,000 kids a day to about 200 overnight. But one of the things that started to happen is we became just pivotal I started seeing such a relevance for what we can do. And so we started working with hospitals. We worked with UCI specifically, but several others. But in this case, there was a hotel across from the UCI complex in Orange. The hotel shut down like everything else. And UCI needed after school care, like child care for their staff. Doctors, nurses, everybody else. And so we partnered with them, and we used the hotel as basically a child care center. The entire hotel we took over. All the staff at the hospital would drop their children off in the morning and be able to go to work and care for patients. At our facility in Fullerton, we're adjacent to a hospital. We converted that facility into a triage center. We put in temporary walls, cots, living quarters, and so the doctors and nurses were working 36-hour shifts. They would come over, clean up, sleep there, because they didn't want to go home and potentially expose their families to COVID. And so we became a vital resource for that hospital. And you don't get up in the morning thinking those things are going to happen, but when you ask me about the staff, I think of what happened when adversity hit and we had to pivot and find how we can help in some of these situations. And our staff led that charge. I mean, I didn't have some of those ideas. They made it all work and came together to really serve. Our staff are extremely special. They love people. They love one another. They love working for the Y. You don't do it for the pay most of the time. But they love serving people, and they find a way. I remember we had to close our health and wellness facilities. And this is when I knew we were becoming special. We closed the health and wellness facilities, and then they were allowing us to reopen them. And so I remember we reopened them, and 2 weeks later we had to shut them again. But they gave us the caveat, the state gave us the caveat that we could keep them open if we were outside. And I remember my staff pivoted. They went out and got 25 huge circus tents on a Saturday. We closed on a Friday. On Monday, we were reopened, all outside, all of our equipment outside. And they did it on their own. I mean, they just took off and did it. And that's when I knew we had an organization that was going to find a way to make things work and make things happen for people. And that really helped the different communities. People as much as the physical fitness they needed the relationship.
Explain the importance of that.
Well, I was just talking to you before our show. My mom just turned 90. My dad passed away a year ago, and she's at the house that I was raised in. It was built in 1960, the year I was born. And they've been extremely happy there. But my mom's more isolated. And it really impressed upon me. 8 of us went over to Italy, had the best time I've had in a long time. She was so blessed. We had her birthday over there. She came back, and I'm watching the need now. She realizes how important it is to be surrounded by people. And I'm watching the loneliness hit as a result, and the open communication of a willingness to maybe leave the house because she yearns for connection. And we've talked about our ages. I'm 63. The older you get, the more you need people. And I was blessed this morning, just today. Someone came in, and one of my board members came in thinking we had a meeting, and we didn't. And he was frustrated. And I could see something was wrong. And so we came inside my office, and he spoke for about half an hour. He didn't at first. I said, "What's wrong?" And I made him talk, and he opened up about some health issues he's having that he's pretty scared about. And at the end, he stood up and gave me a hug and said, I thank you so much, because he's not a person that shares. And he just texted me right before I walked in here about some of the things we discussed, and he's changed. And it's not because of me, it's because he had connection. And we are all looking for connection, and we're made for it. I think we learned that more in the last few years with the isolation we had. I mean, I had a parent that you couldn't visit as they were passing away. That stuff is so unhealthy. And to be able to accomplish things, and I think that's what I love about our staff. We are from all walks of life. We have different beliefs, different thoughts, different we're very different in so many ways, but we have a commonality in serving one another and serving our communities. And that is our focus. And all the rest is kind of put aside. And we have so much fun accomplishing that, taking care of people.
To be on staff, what are the qualifications?
It depends on the level. We put you through a little, some rigorous things, but when you're working with children, you have to be kind of careful. So we do a lot of background checks and all that kind of stuff. But you have to care about people, and you have to be honest, and you have to want to serve. And that's what we have. And it's fun to watch because they're not just serving people, but to watch ego be put aside for the common good is very special. It doesn't happen all the time. We don't have a lot of cliques, and we don't have a lot of people that are striving to climb a ladder. They're trying to do the right thing, and we reward the right thing. We reward a good idea. We don't, my biggest, our number one saying in our organization is, it starts with me. I'm flawed. I am prone and able to make mistakes, and so we submit to a good idea, not Jeff's idea. I'm as flawed as the next person, and so we all try to find the right thing. And when you're submitting to the right thing, and not worried about being wrong, but trying to find the right thing and have that passion, we have a shared sense. And I watched an organization pre-COVID that was strong go through the fire together and come out a different organization, one that felt really good about itself, and I hate to use pride because it could sound bad, but it's very proud of what we do and how we do it. And I'll be honest with you, it kind of separated the wheat from the chaff, and those that came out of COVID in our organization are there for the right reason, and it's a blessing to work with them.
You have child and youth development. Explain how you help develop children as well as youth.
Well, they're pretty amazing. We have our core values: responsibility, respect, honesty, and caring. So we infuse those into everything we do. We don't like to do a lot of social media stuff with them. We like interaction. We like our Camp Elk, for example. We like to say we plug in by unplugging. So when you go up, there's no self-service, and we really do try to force, for want of a better word, we really, really encourage interaction. I remember picking up my daughter in high school years ago, and a boy she had started dating was about 10 feet from her, and they were talking together, but they were talking to each other on the phone. And I'm like, that's not right. I remember I had to be turned down and rejected by girls face to face when I was younger, and go through those difficult and great times. And we try to have people and kids go through that, the goods and the bads, and deal with one another and apologize and look at each other and treat each other with respect. And it's a value-based system, and it's wonderful to watch. And the kids are great.
Can you give us some examples of some of the programs you have for both children and youth?
Well, my favorite program, besides camp, because camp, the kids are going away, and we have kids. This is going to sound crazy in Orange County, but we have kids that have never seen the ocean, and we have kids that have never certainly been to the mountains. They don't know what nature is. And so I love the impact that makes when they are on their own with great supervision, experiencing things that they didn't know that they can do, accomplishing things, whether it's climbing a climbing wall, archery, or whatever the program is. It's no different a child than an adult for me. When you watch a staff person or a kid accomplish something they didn't know that they can accomplish, and you see the light come on in their eyes, it doesn't matter if they're 7 or 70. That's what it's all about. I have Anna, who's in the office with me right now, or in the studio. We've worked pretty closely for 6 years, and the growth that I've seen with her and the lights that have come on is why I keep coming back to the office. Is maximizing her potential as a staff, because I'm very passionate about our staff as well. If you're not building into your staff, they're not going to be able to build into the kids. And then they, in turn, the expectation is they put their best into the children, and have expectations there as well. We're not just a drop off and play and come and, we'll read a magazine while you're there. We are very intentional in our curriculum and in our value-based curriculum to make sure that they're growing. We have, there's lots of issues between kids, but those are opportunity in terms of, a disagreement, arguments, but those are huge opportunities for them to grow. I've watched adults that don't know how to handle conflict, and we teach them conflict skills and resolution. It's just teaching them life, and we take that responsibility greatly. We're not their parents, but we want to honor that relationship and make sure that they grow.
And you have community services and programs. Share with us some of those.
That's an impactful program. We have a couple of programs in our community services. It includes the child and youth development. We have Y Inclusion, and we've learned from this, because there was a time where a child with special needs would come in and we wouldn't accommodate them. We just say, this is not your place. And years ago, we realized that there's something really falling short here. So we have a program working with the local Regency Center. We bring in special needs kids, and we have a one-on-one facilitator with those children. And then we infuse them into our after-school care program. So they are surrounded by a bunch of children with a one-on-one counselor. And there's two amazing things that happen. The child with special needs raises up and really starts to develop emotionally, but just as impactful as the impact it has on the rest of the children, because they're interacting with somebody with special needs that they generally don't, and they bring them into the group, and they grow themselves, and that's amazing to watch. The other program that we have is working with adults with special needs, 21 and older. It's a respite program. I remember we had an event with them. We took them bowling, and I took my board, and so we had board members in one bowling alley, special needs adults on the next, and every other bowling alley was paired that way. And we had the most amazing night, but we had guest speakers come, and one of the things that very much impacted me was one of the siblings of a special needs adult, teenager, 18 years old, and she said before her brother had gone into our program, she would never go out. She felt guilty leaving her brother with her parents, and she would be out having fun with her friends, so she would never go out. And I never really thought about the tension that might cause. But now our brother's going on trips. We've gone to Graceland. We take them to Graceland. We've taken them on cruises. They go all over the place and have a ball. And we have a program. They go out once or twice a week, and that allows the mom to go out and have a glass of wine with a friend, go grocery shopping or whatever that generally they can't do. But the freedom that the sister had in that night was saying, I can go out with my friends because my brother's having a great time, was very impactful beyond me. You don't know what people go through. And I think that's the beauty of this organization and working in it, is you encounter people with stories that you've never anticipated. You encounter people with struggles that you might not have. But if you can potentially be part of the solution to make their life better, and enable them to navigate situations, that's pretty amazing.
So you have people who are with the program lifelong.
We say from cradle to grave. We have people from all ages. We have a preschool, and we have a huge amount of seniors programs. I one time had an experience at a previous Y. I was in Texas, where I was called, and a 44-year-old woman had some experience with heart issues, and I administered CPR, and actually went to the hospital, and she was pronounced, she passed away. We actually had a funeral at the Y. I have participated in a wedding at the Y. We do a lot of amazing things, good and bad. But if you ask me about community, isn't that what it is? Is supporting each other through the bad and celebrating each other with the good. And we provide that atmosphere. I hope for staff as well as all of our participants.
So you've seen the growth in the individuals.
Oh, yeah. My biggest passion is developing people. My personal mantra is developing people to the glory of God, and I want to develop myself, but I have a passion for my own staff developing, and I can be rough sometimes with them on that, but I really believe in helping people find their potential. And so often it's been my experience, especially working with people, is they're too scared to try. And so our environment is we don't ask you to change. We ask you to understand what it's like to sit across the table from you or from me. You know, what's the experience like working with me across the table? Sometimes it's not easy, but we don't ask you to change. We ask you to be able to see what that's like, have some emotional intelligence, and then we'll compensate and we'll work with you on that. But to deny the difficulties you might bring into the room is not helping yourself. And so it's a kind of a crazy place, and is laughing. But in that system, we allow you to be you. We don't ask you to not be you, and we will compensate for your stuff if you acknowledge your thing. And what I have found is in that grace, people grow because they don't have to. We literally are saying, you don't have to change, just acknowledge what you're doing. And people grow because they don't have to, and they feel more free. And I love the people I work with, and I love the growth that I see.
So it's a safe place to grow and learn about other people.
And yourself. Yeah, it is. It's I would like to think so. I have been working very, very hard at culture. I've done two things since I've been here that I was very passionate about. The first one was to be a very strong financial organization. When I arrived, we were about 8 months from bankruptcy, and so we had to do a lot of changes. And we've become quite strong financially. My second vision was to be the best place to work in Orange County. That could be defined a lot of ways, but to be safe and to be respected and to be heard and to be seen. We all come, again, we submit ourselves to the best idea, not the highest ranking person's idea. And it's all built on trust. And if the staff can trust that they're heard and they're safe, and even if what they say is not agreed with, they're still accepted, amazing things are said and discussed. Until you have that, you don't have real communication and connection. And so we've worked 6 years specifically since 2017. We've worked deliberately on that, and we're really getting there. We get in the room. Do you mind if I give you an illustration?
Go ahead.
So, I mean, our budgeting process is an interesting one. It's one I've always used. So, when we start the budgeting process, we strip everything away. There's not one extra dime, and it's tight. There's just nothing for nothing left. I mean, it's just ratcheted down. And with that, when you do that, we have extra money as a surplus. And so we have all of our staff, the top 25, 30 staff, submit requests for what that money could be used for. So if let's say you have $2 million and you have $1 million of requests from the staff, now you have it. And when I was growing up in my organizations before I was in this position, I would turn in my budget, they would turn it back, it'd be totally different, and just say, we need more money from you or whatever, and I never knew why. We all get in the room, and we say we have this much money, and we all go through all the different ideas, and the best ideas win. And I literally, true story, one person wants to present and say, I want to get a coffee maker that's $5,000, and one says, well, we need a van to drive special needs adults. It's kind of apparent, right? So then the person that says that now is embarrassed. It doesn't want doesn't want the coffee maker anymore, and the van gets chosen. And 100% of the time, we walk out of there doing the right thing. Everybody knows where the money's going, and everybody knows why we're spending it, because we're very transparent. And that's where growth comes. And when you start to trust the process and you trust the people around you that they want to do the right thing, I watch people develop. And then you do the same thing with children. You say, okay, what are the best programs for children? Once you have a culture where you can actually have dialogue, where you have trust, miracles happen and new ideas come.
How can people find out about the YMCA?
Well, our corporate office is in Tustin. They can call. Should I give an address?
Why don't you give a website?
YMCA, Orange County YMCA. It's very navigable.
Okay.
And we would love to have you.
Thank you, YMCA of Orange County President and Chief Executive Officer Jeff McBride, for being on Impact OC. And I thank everyone for tuning in. I'm OC Talk Radio Public Affairs Director Dawn Camber. Have an impactful day.
You've been listening to Impact OC, the only program showcasing the people and organizations shaping our community. Right here on Orange County's only community radio station, OC Talk Radio.